Hey everyone, Alana here. Guess what? We're finally back with a normal video. I know we've been uploading the rest of the podcast episodes to the channel as requested, and we are finally caught up and we can get back into a normal schedule, alternating podcasts and videos for you to enjoy. But today we get to finally share, and I get to finally introduce you to somebody who I consider to be one of the most beautiful, genuine, loving human beings that I just feel blessed to call her my friend. Her name is Suzanne, and she's going to be sharing this incredible lesson about practicing self-love and acceptance and how it's healing and how to just be present.
When I ask myself why that's so important, I feel that my lack of being able to just be present with myself and what the experiences or that I was going through were prevented me from being able to learn from them.
So because it's been a while since we've uploaded these videos, I'm so behind, and this interview actually takes place way back in April. But I actually think it happened in its perfect timing because a couple weeks ago, Sione and I went down to Utah to visit family, and on our way back we decided to make a short little pit stop and visit Sione Falls. And while we were there, I was remembering this lesson that Suzanne has shared with us, and one of the things that she mentioned was just to practice being present. And even though we only had 15 minutes to visit the falls, it made this experience even better. So thank you, Suzanne. You made that experience even better for me because I remembered that this was the lesson that was going to be coming up next. And without further ado, here is Suzanne. As you know, the reason we're doing all this is because we've been inviting people to share an experience or a lesson that life has taught them. So what is your experience or your life lesson?
Oh, I was thinking about it earlier, and I think the biggest life lesson that I've learned in the past couple years, which have been kind of a really intense period of personal growth for me, have been just the practice of self-acceptance has been really helpful to me being able to grow and to heal in many ways. When I ask myself why that's so important, I feel that my lack of being able to just be present with myself and what the experiences or that I was going through were prevented me from being able to learn from them. And so and I go through this practice all the time. I'm constantly practicing it and learning how to do it more and more with every new challenge or experience that comes into my life. But when I'm able to just be with the experience and allow it, I'm then able to sort of make it to the next step where I can learn the lesson. And it's almost like eating food, you know. It's like if the food's coming to you, but you're like, I don't want to eat it. I'm afraid to eat it. Then you can't get it in your mouth. But when you open your mouth and you get the food in, then you're like, okay, you chew it and you allow yourself to, taste it and salivate, and it gets all messy in your mouth. Yeah. And then you swallow it, then it becomes a part of you. And as it becomes a part of you and you're digesting it and it becomes a part of you, then that's where sort of the unfolding of the intention of the experience and the lesson was coming to you. And so I spent a lot of my life sort of doing this and saying I don't want to eat, or I'm afraid to eat, really because I was never taught how to eat, to digest or receive or process, experiences and emotions. And so I go through that practice continually because I'm still learning. But it's sort of like the foundation from me in being able to work through challenges and to grow from them. So I always fall back on that. And if I skip that step, I keep having to go back because I start to feel either shame or guilt or resentment or judgment. And it's almost like there's just so many clouds, and it really just comes down to me skipping that step of sitting with it and just saying, it's okay what I'm feeling now, and how does it make me feel, and just allowing space for all of that to happen first. Then I'm able to move through the rest.
That's cool. It's interesting. I think it was yesterday I posted on Facebook and I was just asking, what do you guys think? Is it easier to learn in good situations or bad? And a common answer was that either or, but it depends on you. It depends on the student. It depends what you're willing to take from it and how open you are to it. So I like what you're saying about how just that practicing of accepting what is and letting that be like your starting point to actually learn something from it. It's cool.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Oh, that's cool.
I love the analogy you use about food,
right.
that experience and how to take it in, and how just the fact that, yeah, some of us grow up not being taught how to accept the food. And even when you accept the food, you could spit it out. But you talk about, you have to go through this whole process of chewing, swallowing, and let it being a part of you. I love that analogy. That's so good.
Yeah. I know when we were talking about food, pizza came up and then avocado.
Avocados.
And so I was just like, that's a good analogy. Yes.
Analogy. I like that.
Have you found any things that help you actually pause to do that?
I was just talking to someone the other day and telling them that because it's an ongoing lesson that I'm learning, I don't feel like I've mastered it. And maybe we don't ever master anything. We just, when we think we have learned a lesson, then, a new layer of understanding is revealed to us. And I know you know that because you guys are like, yeah. So I was just telling someone that that many times I have to pray for help to be able to do that, because it's not easy. It has not come easy to me. And so at times I'm like this, and I'm like, I cannot take my hands off my mouth. Please help me please help me be able to let this come in so that I can chew it, I can digest it, and it can become a part of me properly. Because just like in the same way you said, sometimes we can spit food out, sometimes we can't digest it right. Even if we swallow it, it can just be in there. And if we have poor digestion, or if we need to detox, or, we have some underlying health issues, we might not be able to digest it and assimilate it. Or some people have leaky guts, and so much of it goes in and it's not good for them. So it's like, wow, this digestion thing, there's, all the layers to it have a meaningful analogy to being able to assimilate life lessons.
That's so cool. Quick question. So you have kids, right? With this lesson of experiences and how to learn how to have it become a part of you, how would you say for you that you're able to teach your kids about allowing to, take the hands away, or maybe, or whatever, what is something maybe you do to help them with that?
That's been a really big challenge for me, because oftentimes when they're going through a difficult experience that they don't know how to process, it triggers that part in me that does not quite yet know how to do that fully, or hasn't experienced doing that so much myself. And so in a way it's a little frightening and uncomfortable. And so, but over time, the more that I practice it for myself, the more that I'm able to be there for them. In the times when I'm not practicing this self-acceptance for myself, I have the hardest time being present with them when they're having difficult experiences. But when I'm practicing it actively for myself, then automatically it becomes like second nature that I'm able to do that for them. And what it looks like is that I feel at peace with myself and my imperfections and whatever is going on. I have this inner peace because I'm accepting where I am. And because I have that acceptance, when I see them having a challenging experience, instead of feeling judgmental or angry or resentful, which a lot of times I still go through all those feelings, but when I'm working through and feeling less of that towards myself, then I don't respond that way when they're having a difficult situation, when they're screaming or throwing a fit, you know, or suffering due to something that I might feel is so inconsequential, you know. But I'm able to just sort of, I feel like a tree, and I feel like I can wrap my arms around them and hold them, and that's the way that you learn how to accept what you're going through, is by being held. When children are held by their parents, they learn that there's comfort and that it's safe to go through this experience of allowing food to come in and to digest it. And when they're not held in that way, then they don't learn how to do that, and they go through life doing this. And so the more that I practice doing this for myself, then I can do this for them. And when I do that for them, then they have a shelter and they have a place that feels safe for them to go through that process. And it really makes a huge difference. And a lot of times that's really all that they need, is just someone to hold them and to say, it's okay that you're feeling this way. Feelings come and go, and they all have a lesson for us, and you're safe, and we'll get through this. So it's not easy. It is so hard. It's like the hardest work. But, you know, my children at least are like a mirror for me, and they just reflect back the work that I need to keep doing for myself. And a lot of times it can feel overwhelming because I'm doing this work for myself, and I might think I'm making progress, but then my children are like, no, there's more. But, you know, in a way, that itself is the food that is being sent to me to eat, you know, to keep working through and learning and growing and becoming better and better.
That's so neat. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we were talking with someone actually just recently, one of the more recent chats we had. She was talking about trauma and how it's difficult when you don't feel safe to grow and to learn lessons. So it's similar to what you're saying, like, and that just holding them is providing that safety so they feel comfortable enough to learn through that. And we were talking about it the other day, how that's sometimes how it is, like in the spiritual sense. If we know that there's somebody that's like God that loves us and that's
Yes.
protecting us and that has that wisdom, we'll feel safe enough even when we're going through difficult times or hard things to, okay, what can I learn from this? Because I trust that there's somebody that's still loving and taking care of me enough to grow through this process instead of just kind of, I don't know, like clam up and yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, that's so true. That's exactly what it is. And not having that safety is a form of trauma. I think people are learning more and more about complex trauma, and it's just this not having that emotional support when you're a child to learn how to be with your experiences and to develop and grow. And you know, it's a very personal experience for me, and so it is challenging to kind of work through that for myself as I'm parenting and raising my children and wanting them to grow up having what I may not have had as a child. So it is a big task, but you know, we're not given what we cannot, you know, work through. We're not fed what we can't eat, right?